tripping, I just don't feel myself. In the middle of the day, if you feel yourself doing that, stop. Just stop for a second. And start going over in your mind everything you have to be grateful for. Not everything you want, everything you already have. Because what you have is substantial.
Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You're not. Get over it. Get on it. And yes, most things are more rewarding when you break a sweat to get them.
You should never have to question something that's real. All right, you go through it to grow from it. You go through it to learn from it. You don't go through it just to go back to it. That's like putting your hand on a hot stove that you know is hot and expecting it not to burn. Wake up. Stop teaching yourself the same lessons that you should have learned from. You will never move forward with your life, living your life through the rearview mirror.
And we've all had experiences where we were working on something and we knew it was possible. And we did those things that were necessary to bring it into reality. We took the responsibility to make it happen. Other people couldn't see it. A lot of people didn't believe it. You were attacked. You were criticized. People were opposing you, but you kept on doing it. It was hard. It was tough. It was difficult. But to you, it was worth it. And eventually you got to a level and you know, can nothing stop me now.
I don't care where you come from. I don't care where you were raised. Plus one is always going to equal 2. 10 years of motherfucking work when everybody else is partying, making excuses, doing the cool thing on the weekend is going to pay off. You can do this.
Small minds discuss other people. Gossip. Good minds discuss events. Great minds discuss ideas.
Fear of failure. Fear of failure will keep you from taking risk. It can leave you sitting there paralyzed into not taking action. And that is obviously bad. But I don't want you to overcome fear of failure. I want you to be afraid of failure. Fear of failure is good. Fear of failure will keep you up at night planning, rehearsing, going over contingencies. Fear of failure will keep you training hard. Fear of failure will stop you from cutting corners. Fear of failure will keep you working, thinking, striving, and relentlessly trying to be more prepared for battle.
Your mind has to be stronger than your feelings. Think about every poor decision you've made in your life. There was more emotion that was involved in it than there was mine. Every single one of them. Think about it. Your feelings keep you in bed. Your mind tells you, get up.
Practice and practice and practice. Practice makes what? Practice makes improvement. You can always better your best. You can always go beyond anything that you have ever done. You're never going to stay at perfection. You're always bigger than what you do. And so all you're looking for are new breakthroughs through practice and practice and practice. You'll get better and better and better. The first thing to do is to forsake what's in front of you, because the attitude that you bring to what's in front of you will color your entire experience. It will change your character into that of negativity, and you'll never ascend. You'll never get more. You'll never expand. You'll stay stuck.
You can think about it, you can wish for it, you can hope for it, you can think all about it all as long as you want. But unless you get out every single motherfucking day and put in the work, inch by motherfucking inch, you will never get there.
Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You turn in the teapot, it
the guts to fail. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes?
We got to be excited about the future. We're going to do things that make us want to live. It cannot always be about problems every day. I mean, do you want to wake up every morning and everything's just a problem? Or what inspires you and what makes you excited about the future? There's got to be some things like that.
You need to make it a habit to start every fucking day validating yourself. Cheering for yourself, because life is a marathon. And this might be a challenging leg where you're like, I'm just going to throw in the towel. I'm not going to do that thing. Hell no. If you're standing in front of that mirror, you deserve to feel the support and empowerment and encouragement that you need. You are doing so much every single day that you don't give yourself credit for.
I don't care how good you are in anything, you don't have discipline, you ain't nobody. You're nothing without discipline. Because you give up in the slightest struggle without discipline. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it.
A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials.
A plan is better than no plan. That's a really useful thing to know, especially if you're kind of drifting. It's like, well, I'm going to find myself. It's like, no, just pick something and move towards it. And as you move towards it, you're going to succeed and fail specifically. And then you're going to learn something about success specifically, and you're going to learn something about failure specifically. And then you can learn what you use to fix your plan. And then have your successes and failures along the way, and learn from it. And then you can rejig the goal. You can move the target.
We got people out there who've been done wrong. Just can't get over it. Can't get over not getting that school you want to get into. Past failures. Disappointments. Holding on to all that isn't helping. The sun rises and the sun sets. And you're the same in the spot. Stay home.
What do you do when 1,000 other people want exactly what you want? What if you're not the only one that wants what you want? What if there are thousands of other people who want what you want? You have to outwork them. You gotta outclimb them. You gotta get up earlier. You gotta stay up later. You gotta execute, and you gotta go from 70 to 120. Stay focused. Don't listen to nobody. What's on your mind, just do it. Because what's destined for you, you're going to get it.
So I say, as you look into the future, while other people are giving up, feeling like victims, feeling powerless, becoming negative, turning on each other rather than to each other, feeling that they can't make it, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind with the mindset of that it's possible. It's possible that I can find a new profession, a new job. It's possible I can create a new life. And it's necessary that I become actively involved in becoming a positive force in my life. And it's going to be hard. Easy is not an option. But if it's hard, we will do it hard. Whatever is required is snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. And it's worth it, yes. It's worth whatever we have to do. And once we know that, it is done.
Your biggest enemy is you. People don't understand it's you against you. The only person that gets in your way is you. Nobody else. It's you.
I need you to confront you because you're the one holding you up. I need you to confront you. I need you to look in the mirror and tell you, you are not going to do me like this no more. You're not going to continue to sabotage me. You're not. You're not going to keep procrastinating. I need you. You're not.
I am one decision away from a totally different marriage, a totally different life, a totally different job, a totally different income. Your life comes down to your decisions, and if you change your decisions, you will change everything.
Where you want to be in life, and listen to me, at some point in life, you have to tell yourself, because you don't make the adjustment, you don't make the shift in life until you get to the point where you say enough is enough. And listen to me, you deserve better.
You should know about winning before you chase it. Winning's not loyal to you. It doesn't care about you. Winning doesn't care how sore you are. Winning doesn't care how much sleep you get. Winning doesn't care how hard you work at times. Winning requires all of you and then more, and it promises you nothing. It's a mastermind at creating fear and doubt in your mind. It causes setback after setback. So the question is about winning. Are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? And why chase this thing called winning? Because the only thing that's guaranteed in life, if you don't chase it, is losing.
It's one thing to be hungry, it's another thing when you're starving for greatness and starving for success. I know what it's like to operate every single day, regardless of the success that I've been a lucky son of a bitch to achieve. I operate every day as if I'm starving.
Self-confidence is really someone who keeps promises to themselves, because self-confidence is really like your reputation with yourself. If you've got a great reputation with yourself, you know you can trust you, you're not so concerned about your reputation, what other people think about you.
But more importantly, I want you to be horrified, terrified of sitting on the sidelines and doing nothing. That is what I want you to be afraid of. Waking up in 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 years or 60 years and being no closer to your goal. You've made no progress. That is the horror. That is the nightmare. That is what you really need to be afraid of, being stagnant. So, get up and go. Take the risk, take the gamble, take the first step, take action. And don't let another day slip by.
No. You want to take responsibility for your life. I got me here, I can get me out of this. And I'm getting out. I'm not going to be a volunteer victim. We all live in this bubble. What you got to do to get the life that God wants you to have, you got to put more air in your bubble. You got to blow your bubble up. Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. Do not live in your bubble. Put some more air in your bubble. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful.
And what that shows is that if you turn around and you confront the suffering voluntarily, you find out that you are way tougher than you think. It's not that life is better than you think. Life is as harsh as you think. It might even be worse. But you are way tougher than you think if you turn around and confront it.
Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. The hard choices What we most fear doing, asking, saying, these are very often exactly what we most need to do.
You see people who do big things and you automatically say, that guy's so lucky, she's so lucky. You don't know that. You're assuming that. Going to work every day for 20 years and grinding your ass off and then becoming a multi-millionaire, that's not luck. That's action and reaction. Quit using the word luck, quit believing in luck, and start believing in work. Start believing in results that come from your actions. Stop telling your visions to other people, because they're not going to see it. Why you think you keep imagining opening a business? Why you keep imagining graduating, getting a better job? Why do you keep imagining buying a house? Why do you keep imagining getting rich one day? Why do you keep imagining that? Because God is talking to you. He's showing you something that he has for you.
It's okay to be unbalanced for a while. It's okay. Don't be all this stuff people say. You gotta be balanced. To be the best in the world at what you do, you have to be unbalanced to find every bit of energy and strength that you have to pull it off. Then you get balanced once you become great. And it takes getting obsessed to where people think you're crazy.
Let's go. Let's go. You got money, but do you got that dog? Yeah, you got money, you got privilege, but you got that dog. You have to lose your fear of failure. Failure is part of the process. People who never fail, never try. You have to fail. You got to get it wrong to get it right.
God gives you a dream. I believe that we all have a dream, that God has given each one of us something that's beyond us, of hope and aspiration that makes us look beyond. And sometimes the dream is so big it scares us, but it should inspire us to believe that we can only do it with God's help. The dream is your dream. And sometimes we make the mistake of wanting to share our dreams with everybody. Dreams can get you in trouble. You have dream busters. There's people who don't have a dream, and they will try and help bring down your dream. God gave your dream to you. Everything that God gives you, God intends for you to achieve and accomplish.
Don't have time to regret. We move on, because we are acceptable for what we are, not what we think we should be. I'm accepted in myself by what I am, but not as I think I should be, because that's a lie. I'm a sinner, I'm an old sinner, and I've done some bad things, I've done some good things. So, you just forgive yourself and move on.
These people that you're comparing yourself to, you don't really know. You see their shiny outside, but you don't see the reality of their life. People have hard lives, and the ideal that you're observing that makes you jealous and resentful is in large part an illusion that's created by your own mind.
Don't give up. Don't let the world get you down. When it does get you down, get up and write what you want out of your life and don't fucking stop. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no vacation. You get up every fucking day, you look in the mirror, you tell that mirror, I'm a bad motherfucker. And one way or another, I'm gonna make it fucking happen today. And guess what? If you keep writing it down, after a while, the power of the pen, you'll fucking believe it.
If you don't have what you want, stop telling yourself the story because you don't have the money all the time. That's bullshit. It's because you haven't committed yourself where you would burn your boats. If you want to take the fucking island, burn your fucking boats, and you will take the island because people, when they're going to either die or succeed, tend to succeed.
Here's the truth. This is the reality. Nobody's going to believe in you until you've already done it. Nobody's going to come and celebrate with you until you've already done it.
Just stand. You keep standing. You keep standing, no matter how rough the sea, you keep standing. And I'm not talking about just water. You keep standing. No matter what, you don't give up.
difficult and challenging times to demoralize you. He said, in life you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. And I'm saying, in your hands, you have ideas. You have been given something to bring to the universe that was not here before you showed up.
Do a little bit more work, and a little bit more work. The results are going to come more. More people are going to believe. Nobody fucking believes in you because you haven't done anything yet. That's the reality.
Today is the day that you let go of that hurt and release that pain forever. Your tears have served you well for far too long. It's time for you to practice that smile again. It's time for that smile to no longer be a stranger. And it's time for you to let go of the things that are stripping your heart of this happiness. You can't heal by going back to the hurt. You can't receive your future by holding on to your past. So stop pressing replay on the things that need to be deleted from your life.
He had this beautiful quote, and it read, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And I took that to heart. I believe there's time for resting at the end. That time is not now. To have a dream, sacrifice for it, and never ever rest in the middle.
When people can't get up in the morning, I'm going to tell you why. Because they can predict the feeling of everything that's going to happen in their life. Their body's resigned to the familiar. It says, oh, another mundane day. But remember when you were a kid and you were going on a field trip? What happened then? You were up and dressed and ready to go before your parents were up. Because you knew something unexpected was going to happen. That's how we should live our lives. Waking up with the understanding to expect the unexpected. Something unusual should happen in our life as a result of our efforts.
It doesn't matter. What is your level of intelligence? What is your level of capability? Introvert, extrovert, this, that, doesn't matter. Do you have the courage and commitment to make the possibility into a reality?
Life is an echo. What you send out comes back. What you sow, you reap. What you give, you get. What you see in others exists in you. Do not judge, so you will not be judged. Radiate and give love, and love comes back to you.
I will try 100 times to get up. And if I fail 100 times, if I fail and I give up, do you think that I'm never going to get up? No. But if I fail, I try again and again and again. For as long as I try, there's always that chance of getting up. And it's not the end until you've given up.
You have to start living your life in expectation. You have got to start expecting great things to happen for you in order for it to happen. If you live your life in expectations, that's what happens to you. If you live your life in despair, that's what happens to you.
Disengage your sense of self, your sense of self-worth from achievement. Once you are wholly focused on sincere pursuit, everything changes.
I'll never be rich. You won't. You won't. The moment you change the frequency that your tower emits, different things come back to you. If you change your attitude, you change your altitude.
Most of us go through life pretending that we're satisfied where we are, pretending that everything is okay, pretending that we don't have any special goals or ambitions or desires, when really deep down inside we do really want more. Because you have to judge a tree by the fruit it bears, not the fruit that it talks about. See, a lot of people pretend that they want more out of life, but all you have to do is watch their actions.
So you really have to work hard for a set of skills that matter to you. A fool never learns. A smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So you've got to completely divorce yourself from this notion of outcome and become completely obsessed with the idea of sincere pursuit.
And so when you look at the night sky and that sense of awe grips you and calls something out of you, right? To respond to your encounter with the infinite, even your encounter with mortality, your encounter with finitude and limitation, all of that in relationship to the infinite. That sense of awe is also the calling forth of something out of you that can respond to the challenge of that infinite. Well, that's the microcosm within, you know? It's a reflection of the structure of the cosmos itself. That's the divine ideal.
Only thing that's going to make you happy, my friend, in this year or any other, is to step up. It's to raise the standard. It's to discover what you're capable of and feel that incredible power pushing through whatever's holding you back and get to the other side of more of your true self. That's what this game's all about.
So life is real short. So you add up all your traveling, add up all your sleeping, add up all your school, add up all your entertainment, you've probably been half your life doing nothing. So out of 30 years, I might have about 16 years to be productive. So this is how we can all break individual lives down.
You've got to completely divorce yourself from this notion of outcome and become completely obsessed with the idea of sincere pursuit. Now, why sincere pursuit? The reason to tie your sense of self, your self-esteem, your pride, your ego, your identity, all of that, the reason to tie that to sincere pursuit is it's the only part you can control. I cannot promise you that you'll ever be successful. You cannot promise you that you will be successful. But you can promise and know, if you actually did it, to show up every day and really pursue it.
But what do we say? But there'll always be tomorrow. Oh no. There's no guarantees you're going to show up tomorrow. There are a lot of people who were here yesterday, that they're not here today. There are a lot of opportunities that were around yesterday. They're not here today.
I'm talking about real commitment. Not that cheap stuff. Right? Not that counterfeit stuff. Not that if I get what I want stuff. Not that little boy stuff. I'm talking concrete commitment. The commitment that says, can I stay true to what I said I would do long after the mood that I've said it in has left? It's easy to say what you're going to do when you're sitting in these plush seats, this AC, and you got the words on the wall.
There's people out there that don't want to see you do good. As you know, there's people out there that don't want to see you happy, don't want to see you accomplish anything, don't want to see you grow.
So you got to go start your journey. And the journey starts with you finding, why the hell am I here on this planet Earth? Why am I here? And if you don't know that, you will live the rest of your life searching, always asking the question, why?
I'm saying answer your call. The universe is calling you. Here's something about life. You can't get out of it alive. Hello? You can't get out of life alive. Live now, like Maria said. Live your dream now.
There's people out there that are threatened by your greatness. They can't handle you. They know they can't compete with you. They know they can't beat you. So their goal, their plan, is to make you beat you. All the great ones in life, one thing they had was composure. No matter what people do at them, hate, negativity, gossip, drama, rumors, no matter what they do at them, they stayed focused on where they were trying to go.
No matter what's going on in your life, it's not permanent. Everything is going to change. So there's two things you can do with change. You can react to it or you can participate in it. It's going to change anyway. So if you keep waiting around, you're going to have to react to the change. And now you're behind. But if you participate in the change, if you know the job you have is not going to last forever, where you go to work at every day, that's going to change. So what you got to start doing is you got to start anticipating that it's going to change and just start living your life with the preparation for change.
At the beginning of the year, a lot of you had goals, ambition, a lot of drive, a lot of motivation. Well, it's Easter. It's the middle of April. To make sure I don't get too far. Where's my goals, my dreams? A lot of you are proud of who you are. You don't like the person you created. Do what I did. Start from scratch. Create somebody that you're proud of. Stay hard.
You can learn all the techniques in the world. If you don't believe in yourself, it won't happen for you. I learned all of it. Focus on the self. You got to focus on you. And as you convince you, as you sell yourself, every day, you will begin to see a difference in the things that you're doing. Selling yourself on your ability to perform a job, to achieve a certain objective. Telling yourself every day, here I go again. And I got what it takes. This is my day, and nothing out here is going to stop me.
His why was greater than defeat. His why was greater than his trial and his tribulation. And I'm telling you, if you don't know what your why is, and your why isn't strong, you're going to get knocked out every single day.
And say, in spite of this, I'm in control here.
Motivation has nothing to do with it. See, most people are waiting for motivation when motivation is just a spark to get things moving, but it's your commitment that gets you to the gym every single time. You don't go because you're motivated. You see, you don't do the things you know you need to do to reach your goals because you're motivated to do those things. You do it because you got the mindset of a machine. You just say, every Tuesday, Thursday, this is what I do. Every Tuesday, Thursday, this is what I do. Every Tuesday, Thursday, this is what I do. You just can do it because that's what you set out to do.
Success and failure are not giant events. They don't just show up. You don't just suddenly become successful or suddenly have this cataclysmic event that makes you fail. It may look that way. But failure comes from all the little things. It's failure to make the call. It's failure to check the books. It's failure to say, I'm sorry. It's failure to push yourself to do things physically that you don't want to do. And all those little failures day after day come together until one day some cataclysmic event happens, you blame that. That event happened because you missed all the little stuff.
I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this destroy me. I'm coming back. And I'll be stronger and better because of it. You have got to make a declaration that this is what you stand for. You're standing up for your dreams. You're standing up for peace of mind. You're standing up for health. You want it. And you're going to go all out to have it. It's not going to be easy. When you want to change, it's not easy. If it were in fact easy, everybody would do it. But if you're serious, you'll go all out.
I want you to be aware of this. Like, most human beings, we don't really understand the value of time because we've always had time. We say we value time, but do we really value time? Like, some of us, we're holding a grudge with people that we love. If you really value time, you will let go of that grudge. We don't think that at some point, this is going to end. At some point, your parents might not be here. So the more you future think and think that this is going to come to an end, at some point, we think that we have forever. And I want to tell you, for Whatever comes with an expiration date.
Make today count. Every day. Go forward. Get aggressive and attack. Whether it's on the battlefield, or on the beat, or in the factory, or on the farm, or on the construction site, or on the website. In the garage or in the firehouse, don't hesitate. Step forward and get after it.
It's gonna be hard, either way, okay? Being broke is fun. Being successful is hard as fuck. All you get to do is choose which hard you're gonna be, and you don't get to opt out of it being hard. That's the thing that people know. They think they can opt out of life being hard. No, life is going to be hard. But you get to choose the result that's going to produce because of it.
It is not the darkest moment that's the problem. You the problem. And your perspective is the problem. You thought you were just going to have a dream and a goal, and you were just going to wake up and just run into the sunset. You have a dream, and then life punks you. You going to lose friends. Do you really want this? Do you really want this? And so I'm telling y'all, you have come too far to quit now. You have invested too much to quit now. You have lost too much to quit now. Get a reward for your pain.
This is the only life that I have. And I'm going to take the leap of faith. I'm going to jump in it. I know the universe will never give me anything I don't have the capacity to handle.
You know, too many times we allow yesterday's troubles to turn into today's struggles. We allow yesterday's worries to turn into today's stress. Too many of us are too good at carrying the things from our past into our present. And we live our whole entire life in stress, our whole entire life in worry. And we don't use our one superpower that we have, which is appreciation.
When you get in your own way, that's what self-doubt is. The fastest Band-Aid ripped off remedy to fixing this terrible situation is to do the thing you're afraid to do. Do it. It's not about feeling confident about going into the situation. It's not about knowing that it's going to work out. It's not about having the most detailed plan for how this thing will happen. It's about doing it. Courage. You get courage is what you will experience and what you will grow when the doubt is there, but you do it anyway. So your problem isn't doubt. Your problem is courage. Doubt is going to be there. But doubt gets out of the way when you express courage.
If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley. But be the best little scrub on the side of the rill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are.
And also to remind you, like, everything you're going through is preparing you. I want to remind you of that. Like, everything that you're going through is preparing you for something greater. Right? Everything that you went through, you made it through. Because you're here. You made it through. And the things that you made it through is preparing you for what's meant for you. Everything that you went through, it made it through. I'm sure you can think right now, all the times when you felt like, man, my life is over, my story is done. But you made it through it. Everything that you went through and made it through is preparing you, was preparing you for what's meant for you.
What's your why? You need a why. Why do you need a why? Because some days you're going to look at that alarm clock, you're going to look at that alarm clock, and it's going to say 6, and 6 is the time you wake up, and you're going to look again, it's going to say 6:05, and you're going to say, I don't want to get up. But that why is going to say, I'll push yourself. Get up. Your mama needs you. Your daddy needs you. Your children need you. Your community. Get up. Your why is going to push you when you can't push yourself. When you want to quit and give up, your why is going to give you that edge you need, that advantage you need, that lift that you need to get to the next level. Your why.
Do the thing and you will have the power. We're waiting for the power. We're waiting not to self-doubt any longer. Right? Whatever it is that you're deciding that you want to do with yourself, that you're doubting your ability on, just do it.
Great ideas are never going to interrupt you. They have to be pursued. And if you don't pursue them, you're going to get what everybody else has, which is all this fear, all this uncertainty, all this stuff that won't work, because everybody's focused on what won't work, what can't happen. Why? Because they're afraid. They're afraid to fail. They're afraid to try and feel like they're not enough. So you got to stay guard of that mind by feeding your mind. You know, Jim Rohn used to say to me, success leaves clues. If you want things to get better, you got to get better. If you want things to change, you got to change. But you got to do it deliberately and consciously.
And so what happens is we very often reinforce things when we put things in the negative, right? I can't get apart. I can't get apart. Can't get apart. Or I can't do this versus I'm going to keep doing this. It's the same thing for you. If you focus on the obstacles, all you will see is obstacles. It's your choice how you choose to perceive your own career. It's literally perspective.
If you watch a great movie, if you read a great book, you know, the size and the power of the hero, how much you become as a hero is defined by how tough an obstacle you face, how difficult is the villain, the opponent.
The things you know you're supposed to do them. And be as strong as you can, mentally, physically, and emotionally, for yourself, for your team, for your family. Hold the line. And be strong.
Listen to me, many of you right now, life's got you up against the rope, and you gotta do me a favor. Like, you can't give up, you can't give in. Like, listen to me, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And if life's got you backed up, I need you to do what Buster Douglas did. Buster Douglas started fighting back. He said, I know you knocked out 30 other people before me, but I won't be the 31st. You gotta tell life, I don't know who you've been dealing with, but you ain't dealt with me. You gotta tell bankruptcy. You gotta tell divorce. You gotta tell sickness. I don't know who you've been dealing with. But you come up against the wrong one this time.
Courage is the most important of all the virtues. Because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. You see? You can't be consistently kind, or fair, or humane, or generous. Not without courage. Because if you don't have it, sooner or later you'll stop and say, the threat is too much, the difficulty is too high, the challenge is too great. There was someone before me. Someone found the path. Someone made the road before me. And I have the responsibility of making the road for someone who is yet to come.
So tonight, the question I ask you is what things in your life are you going to give a funeral to? What things in your life have to die? What things in your life have been keeping you from seeing the greatest version of yourself? Have been keeping you from knowing your worth? Have been keeping you from seeing how special you are? Have been keeping you to live in depression? Have been keeping you to live in pain? What things are you allowing to live in your life that need to be dead? Because the truth of the matter is, and I'm not trying to put fear in your heart, but I'm putting reality on your mind. The truth of the matter is, we're all going to die. But the truth of that is, not all of us are going to live.
It might be April where you are, and you're expecting nice weather, but it's 20 degrees. So, you might be somewhere where it's too hot. So, you might have sore legs, sore back, sore shoulder. So, the struggle is real. It never gets any easier. You gotta get harder. No one cares what you did yesterday. It only matters what you do today. I'm a cheerleader for those who want to be better, not for those who want to stay the same. We're so stuck in this comfort zone, and the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. We're so stuck where it's convenient. We're so stuck in this ritual where it feels good, and so when God tries to shake us up a little bit, the problem always happens before the miracle. The lessons always come before the blessing.
How bad do you want your goal right now? I think there's a lot of people in the world today, because it's a real niche thing to talk about, I want this is my outcome, this is my goal. Like, how bad do you want? Do you want it as bad as breathing? Do you want it as bad as anything you ever wanted in your life? And if you calibrate it at the highest enough levels, what I found is the people that are the hungriest, they find a way.
You choose to stay comfortable. You choose comfort. You choose to stay comfortable. You choose to stay in a place that you know your life shouldn't be at anymore. Some of us, we've been living in the same place for the last decade, for the last 15 years, for the last 5 years. And we've been keeping ourselves in a place that has done no good for our life. Some of us need to give that fuel to the environments in our life. As you know, what you surround your life around is what you will become.
And when you go through something, you're going to learn some lessons, but it's not always easy to extract lessons from a bad situation.
To me, every day is a beginning, a new day, a new week, a new shot at life. An opportunity to come out of the gate like a man possessed and attack the day without mercy. Today, I'm taking scalps. I'm putting the pressure on. I'm the aggressor. I'm on the attack. And of course, I will get tired. I will get beat up. I'll get knocked down and drained, and I will have some bad days. But I will not stop.
When you know why you want something, when it's desperation, the power of being desperate is something that most people avoid. They think desperation is a weakness. And I'm here to tell you, desperation is one of the most powerful emotions you could possibly possess, because when you're desperate, you find reserves and reservoirs of ideas, talents, and a strength that you don't know you have when you find yourself in a desperate situation. So the number one thing we need more than anything to win is hunger, which comes from a state of desperation. Yet we're constantly trying to comfort ourselves in the real world to avoid the state of being desperate.
And so I love the process. I love it. I love working for what I want. I love the sacrifice. I love the dedication. I love the commitment. I love that. Everybody wants the prize. Nobody wants the process. Everybody wants to be a diamond. Nobody's willing to get cut. Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. And I'm saying to you, whatever you got to do it. Because if you don't, life is going to whoop you until you surrender. So if it's hard, then do it hard. These are not tears of sorrow. These are tears of joy, because the thing I understand, the only thing I need you to do is deal with it in the right way. And watch what God not only does in your life, watch what God does in everybody's life that's connected to you. And the thing about every storm has an expiration date.
So when I don't see the point and I feel like my life is being dismantled, could it be that God's preparation comes packaged as pain? And maybe if you could see it that way, it wouldn't take the pain away, but it would give the pain a purpose. If you could see what you've been calling a failure really wasn't a failure. It was a foundation.
You're 25, you can be an idiot. It's no problem. Okay, well now you're the same person at 30. It's like people aren't so thrilled about you at that point. It's like, what the hell have you been doing for the last 10 years? Well, I'm just as clueless as I was when I was 22. It's, yeah, but you're not 22. You're an old infant, right? And that's an ugly thing, an old infant. So, part of the reason you choose your damn sacrifice, because the sacrifice is inevitable, but at least you get to choose it. Part of the proper path of development in the last half of life was to rediscover the child that you left behind as you were apprenticing. And so then you get to be something and regain that potential at the same time.
Make a decision. Because if you don't decide, well, you know, life decides for you. Indecision is still a decision.
There's no quote that states 80% of life is showing up. Now, showing up means many different things to many different people, but the idea is not complicated. You can't do anything of significance unless you have first and foremost arrived. Which brings me to today. See, I had a list of concepts I've been excited to talk about, things that I've either read or have been recent epiphanies in my life. And I can't wait to share those with you. But this morning, oh, let me tell you about this morning. Like finding the energy to do anything felt like trying to squeeze blood from a rock. I woke up with a headache, exhausted because I didn't sleep at all the night before. And you know that feeling, like when you didn't sleep at all the night before, you're oddly, constantly reminding yourself the next day that you didn't sleep, and everything felt off. And really, as I'm speaking now, things still kind of do. And so I got up and I sort of played with the idea of taking the day off altogether. Or maybe I'm due for one anyway. I thought about resting. The little devil with the pitchfork on my shoulder continuously reminded me how great sleep would feel. And I was sitting there, you know, kind of weighing my options. Took some ibuprofen, started the coffee, sat down on the couch, just kind of looking at the wall, what to do. But realistically, I knew. And I want to explain why. Over the years, I've taught myself through repetition that sitting down and writing and recording, unless I plan intentionally to do otherwise, is a non-negotiable. It's helped me see that the goal in any meaningful pursuit should be getting to the point where, despite the circumstances, you show up. Stephen Pressfield, whose voice often echoes in my mind when I come face to face with these situations, he wrote, "Art is war between ourselves and the forces of self-sabotage that would stop us from doing our work. The artist is a world. Artist being anyone bringing something to the world that does not yet exist. And he goes on to describe the battle with the mind over sitting down in that chair and writing when we know we must write but don't want to. When a tired or distracted mind begins looking for off-ramps, as mine clearly started doing this. These seemingly trivial moments, when any rational soul could argue for the validity of postponing their date with Microsoft Word, well, they come to matter more than ever. Because greatness is a byproduct of intentionality. If you become accustomed to breaking promises to yourself, if you leave that door cracked for exceptions here and there, it will ultimately be kicked open. And that's why I inject little reminders like that into my life, to keep that mental muscle working. For example, there can never be dishes left in my sink when I go to bed. Why? Because if I skip it once, there will always exist reasons to skip again. It's a very easy thing to not care about. Because here is the reality. Progress is a lifestyle. Growth is a lifestyle. At least if we're talking about any meaningful type of evolution. I just finished reading It Takes What It Takes by Trevor Noah. One of those 3 to 5 hour listens on Audible, depending on how fast it's playing. It really packs a punch. And I'm going to be diving into a few of his concepts a little more in the coming weeks, but one thing he discusses that I found incredibly valuable is the illusion of choice. And what the illusion of choice highlights is that there are a set of behaviors that must be carried out to be effective. The idea of alternate routes is an illusion. There are no choices when it comes to what's necessary. We know what must be done to win. Now, knowing that is one thing. Knowing that and having to propel yourself to action when you feel like garbage is something different entirely. But that's why it's so valuable to get to that place where you can take the emotion out, remove the internal deliberation, and automate the things you know are going to help push you to be that better version of yourself. In other words, you show up for you, period, and that is a non-negotiable. That's the level we all need to get to. And I'm thinking about this, drawing parallels to a lot of different aspects of my day, right? The interval training I have this afternoon. When you're exhausted, 40 minutes in, and are switching from squats to mountain climbers or whatever it is, right? Instructor makes the announcement. I don't think about anything. I don't give myself a chance to try and rationalize any weakness. No, if this is important to me, keep that door shut. No thinking, just doing next. Simply doing what you always do, what you've signed up for, cannot be self-perceived as some monumental sacrifice. No, it's just what you do. It's neutral. Sometimes you feel like it, sometimes you don't. But you do what you do. And that puts you on track to accomplish some incredible things. And so remembering this ultimately pushed me through that studio door this morning and placed me down right in front of my mic. Sure, I had to adjust some things. Definitely picked some, mellower music. There's going to be no crescendos today or my head will explode. But this is not torture. In fact, I'm really happy with the way the episode's turning out. I would have missed out on something that I think is going to be pretty valuable in a variety of ways. But what I'm telling myself is that this is not a victory. It's certainly not defeat. It's just what I do. And so the question worth asking yourself when facing the adversity life presents, in whatever arena you are in, is, are you willing to show up for you? Can you turn that internal deliberation switch off when it comes to the necessities before you? Minimize that rationalizing that I battled with this morning. We don't need or want that. There should be no thinking, no cracked doors, no metaphorical dishes in the sink. If you decide something is important and you sign that dotted line, when it's time to execute, you act. And then you move directly onto the next. The goal is to not even negotiate with leaders. Now, that's not to say Pressfield's aforementioned war of art won't rage on as you journey to the new horizons you've set out for. But just like anything, it's an understanding that will help you focus, will help you say no to the distractions and the minutia, and continue writing your story, constructing your reality line by line and piece by piece. It's been almost 2 years since I first read it. And still the main idea from the book, The Courage to Be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi, deeply resonates. The idea that being happy is essentially dependent upon the courage to be disliked. And at first, it might not seem like the two, would ever be related. Happiness and being disliked, an odd pair. Maybe even seemingly counterintuitive. Until you realize that happiness comes from such a personal, authentic place that allowing the expectations of others to chart your course means that you'd probably never arrive there. You have to do what's best for you. And doing what's best for you is going to create a divide somewhere. Why? Because everything creates a divide. Everything is subjective. I knew I wanted to dive into this topic, but wasn't sure the best way to do it. So the other morning, I was trying to think of an objective truth. Something that no one could disagree with. Just sitting on my balcony and pointed up towards the sky. Thought, let's start there. Simple as it gets. Hard to refute that, right? I am pointing up. And remembered, we're floating on a globe, a giant sphere. There is no up. Up is perspective. Everything is perspective. What's the difference between 1 and 2? Some might say it's 1. But technically, there's infinity between 1 and 2. You can have infinite decimals. 1.9999 goes on forever, right? Point being, there's subjectivity when we drill down into even the seemingly obvious truth. Now, the value here is not to go running around, arguing with everyone that there's infinity between 1 and 2. There are certain aspects of society that we must adhere to, otherwise we couldn't function together, right? But it's simply to show that you following the path you believe is right for you cannot be rightfully assessed by someone else. It's to place trust in your internal personal judgment. And when people don't understand your infinity, that doesn't mean it's wrong. And by the way, I don't have blinders on to the fact that it's hard to do. In many ways, it goes right up against our lizard brain biological wiring. Right? We're fitting in equates to survival, and ostracization becomes a death sentence. But we are, fortunately, beyond that. It's in our interest now, and in fact, I think the courage to be disliked is a critical, lifelong journey. I'm better at this than I was 10 years ago, no question. But do I still have a ways to go? Absolutely. There are still things I'm working on every day to let go of. I remember reading in Jefferson's biography about how it was so hard for him to be demonized in the press all the time, but it almost dissuaded him from jumping back into politics for his presidential run. And being attacked is a hard thing. But ultimately, he let his beliefs and personal values drive him, his ambition in a lot of ways, and came to see the scrutiny as a cost, decided it was worth the price. Or like I use this all the time, take one of the biggest pop stars of our day, say Justin Bieber. You look at what people are saying about him in the comments of his video, a lot of it's wonderful, some of it's great, sure, but some of it's awful. And that's just the price of anyone putting themselves out there. And again, you think of an inverse scenario. Imagine if he didn't. Imagine if he limited himself or didn't dive fully into what he does because he knew some folks out there would have some bad things to say. Now, we are, for the most part, neither famous politicians nor pop stars. But our worlds contain the same elements at different scale. There are things we're all scared to do or say because of how it will be received. There are parts of ourselves that we repress because we don't know what the feedback will be. We're all scared to fail in some capacity because of how it will look or what others will say about it, which is why being disliked is courageous. As Aristotle has said, the only way to avoid criticism is to do nothing, to say nothing, and be nothing. The opposite of being fully, truly yourself is becoming the manifestation of that quote. It's never pushing yourself, never seeing what you're capable of, never exploring or executing on your dreams, your ambitions. Now, this is speculation, but if I were a gambling man, I'd place everything I own on the idea that when we're old, looking back on our lives, we'll spend less time thinking about who criticized us or disagreed with us than how we spent our days and who we shared them with. Did we live in a way that made us happy, that was meaningful? Because on a sphere, everyone believes they are pointing up. But in actuality, none of us are. We're all merely navigating the subjective universe behind our eyes. So why not truly explore? Why not capture the magic out there before the hourglass runs out of sand? It's hard, sometimes it hurts, it takes all we have, it requires courage. But I think we'll all come to find that the decision to live fully in our authenticity, regardless of whether others agreed, disagreed, or were indifferent, was the best decision that we ever made. The first step towards creating the life you want is taking responsibility for the life you have. What does this mean? Well, it's easy to accept the good things, the things you're proud of. It's easy to move forward under the banner of victory. But what about the things that may not be under your control? The things that happened unjustly? Or what about the things you did in your past that you're not proud of? See, if you're going to own the good, you have to own the bad, too. Because you can't change anything. You can't alter the reality on the ground until you own it. You can't make something better that you have not acknowledged and claimed to be yours. See, our inclination when we feel like we've been wronged by life is to shake our fist at the sky, innately aware of the cosmic injustice that has occurred. And I get it. We want to point out that injustice. Label it as an adversary. Maybe even an excuse. It feels good in the short term. But ultimately, it's depriving you of your strength, the ultimate advantage. which is substituting the word fault for responsibility. When you're fixated on the word fault, the emphasis is placed on finding the blame. It's replaying yesterday's movie. Responsibility, on the other hand, says regardless of how or why this came to fruition, it's mine to fix. Maybe it was brought forth by your doing, maybe it wasn't, but you'll learn and adjust in the present. That attitude will place you in position to succeed in ways most couldn't even dream of. When others project out, it leaves you to find the solution. Where others assert blame, it pushes you to begin the process of building again. See, there's nothing so detrimental as one who, feeling slighted by life, doesn't start where they are to make the most of what they have. Feeling so angry and disparaged by the path that brought them to the present moment, that they forget it's not the same path that will lead them forward from here. This moment is yours. And there's a lot packed into that statement. It means looking in the mirror, accepting the face staring back at you, letting go of what you cannot control, forgiving yourself and the world around you for what may or may not have happened yesterday. Look, you're here now. With all the opportunity in the world, everything in front of you. The question is, will you take it? Will you leave fault behind so that you can accept responsibility for the greatest gift one can be given? The chance to begin again. Even if there were a magic box with the answer to every single question imaginable inside, you'd still have to know what questions to ask it in order to take anything worthwhile away. The output is only going to be as valuable as the input. But why won't the world just give me what I want? Why can't I have something new? Why won't life grant me a fresh start? Well, the question worth reflecting upon is, what are you doing to prompt the change? What are your inputs? The jukebox only plays the song you select. What are you selecting? And I say this because my expectations are sometimes inclined to diverge from the actions that I take. Like, there can be a gap between what I want and what I'm actually spending my time doing. A gap that, without the necessary time and attention, widens. But what we want to do is close that gap. We want to take the ideal on one side and the real on the other, and squeeze them as close together as possible. That requires, though, that you recognize and take control of your input. A friend of mine in the medical field and I were talking about weight loss not too long ago, and something he said that stuck with me. He says, yeah, weight loss can be complex. There's certainly variability, but there's a simple underlying truth to all of it. If you burn more calories than you take in through eating, your body will lose weight. It's inevitable. You're creating a deficit. Simple. Your input controls your output. Or we can move to personal finance, something everyone can relate to. If you spend less than you make, you'll have money left over to save. Again, personal finance also has its nuance. There are certainly plenty of variables. But this piece will always be true. If you want to increase your savings, you can either make more or spend less. Your decisions here, your inputs here, will dictate your output. And so I think it's worth calling our attention to those things we're doing day in and day out. And I'm talking about the most basic of things. Are they contributing to what you want most or not? That's why I reference my whiteboard list so often. Right? Incredibly simple, which I think is what we need. One column on the left is your goals, you know, the things that you want. The other column on the right is what you're doing to bring about what you want. What are your actions? And if you make that list and notice that your days wildly deviate from that list, there's a problem. Either you're wasting your time with meaningless action, or you've selected the wrong goals. You can wildly change the results you get by tweaking the actions you make, or inputs as they're called to me. Here's an example. This is an adversary I've been dancing around for a decade now. I have injury problems. Talk about it all the time. Left ankle, right knee, left elbow, right shoulder. I'm constantly working around these things until inevitably something happens and I have to take a step back and rest and rehab it. Right? But what did I do? I saw a physical therapist. Definitely a valuable input, but not enough. I'm consistently working on my diet. Valuable input, but again, not enough. Hydration, right? Gallon of water a day. Valuable input, but not enough. I decided not too long ago to take yoga seriously, like be obnoxiously serious about it. I'm going almost every day, and I think, I don't want to speak too soon, but I think I'm seeing something that I haven't seen in a decade. I feel good, and I'm able to do some weight training that previously I really couldn't. You know, the output here is finally starting to look like I want it to look. But here's the thing, right? It's been so frustrating over the years. Like, I get so angry with the situation that I forget that I have control over the outcome. It just seems like when you've exhausted so much time and energy, like it's beyond you. And it's like, no, there are still your inputs creating your outputs, and you can continue to change those things. Don't stop trying. Test it. You know, and that's really it. And I mean, this is such a basic concept. It's so almost painfully simple. But as I like to say, you know, the wheels don't fall off the wagon when we get the minor details wrong. No, it's when we're getting the basic things wrong. That's when we lose ourselves. That's when we fall off track. And that simple input and output idea is amazing to me, because it waters all that seemingly complex stuff down into the simple. Right? It puts the power in our hands to do something about it. Even when it's frustrating, even when we feel like we've exhausted all our options, well, there's always more. Why? Because you put something in, you get something out. If you don't like what's coming out, change what's going in. You are your own experiment. You are responsible for closing that gap between the real and the ideal. If the people you're spending your time with don't make you feel good or bring you down, adjust the inputs. If you aren't happy with your financial situation, adjust the inputs. If you aren't happy with your physique or overall health, adjust the inputs. If your business or platform or personal brand isn't evolving the way you'd like it to, stop blindly repeating what you're doing day in and day out and adjust the inputs. The real world results will change right in front of your eyes. Not because anything was given to you, but because your persistence, your adaptability, and your commitment to growth demanded it. time waits for no one. Look, the earth will continue to spin, the sun to set, the clock to tick. There are no perfect moments, only moments, waiting to be interpreted by those passing. And as a raindrop in this thunderstorm, an actor in this play, the only rational question in my mind is if time will not wait, why should it? If time will continue its steady march, why let it leave me? I'm in my mid-30s. And here's what I've already seen. I've already seen songs I grew up with, referred to as classic rock. I've seen some of my childhood sports heroes struggle to throw a first pitch before a baseball. I've seen a substantial portion of my social interaction become digitized. I've seen once forever people in my life fade away into memory. I've audibly laughed at the ridiculousness of things that at one point I was sure were important. I've redefined the meaning of the word home in my life more times than I can count. In fact, the way I see the world and the way I see myself operating in it continues to change. As the saying goes, the only constant in our lives is that things change, evolve. Why does this matter so much to me? Well, because when I look back, the single thing that would consistently keep me from truly pushing that pedal to the floor, to truly capturing all life has to offer, was a fear. A very specific fear. The fear of losing what I had at that moment. I was scared to death of loss, as we all tend to be to varying extents. In fact, we're biologically wired to respect the fear of loss to a greater extent than the prospect of acquisition. There's humor in all this. A deeply rooted irony. It emerges when we discover that we lose everything. It all does. The song that's playing ends for each and every one of us. And is this a sad thing? No. No more than the credits to your favorite movie rolling after the final scene. It was the show, the experience that meant the world. It's a beautiful thing if you let it manifest in all its beauty. If you move along with it, immerse yourself in its brilliance. My point is that the only way to lose is to lose. It's to not realize that you're starring in your own cinematic masterpiece, and those credits will at some point roll. It's to sit in a chair on the side of the gym while the rest of the room dances. Life is finite, and the power is not in a flawless existence. It's in understanding to our core that there is nothing to lose, that the window is small, that we should carry out the human equivalent of a fireworks show. We should be obnoxiously bold, absurdly courageous. We should go, live, try, experiment, explore, build, create. And yeah, sometimes you'll fail. And sometimes you'll fail spectacularly. But sometimes you'll triumph. And along the way, the mistakes, they become wisdom. They become courage. Both of which are integral to any meaningful grand finale. And as I make my way around the sun for the 36th time, the priority is to remember that these rides are not forever. They are precious. And that I have the strength to live accordingly. Fearlessly, courageously. My hope is that you find it within yourself to do the same. To pull back the curtains and see now that failure was never the adversary. No, not even close. The adversary is an unwillingness to make the most of your moments. The adversary is freezing amidst the constant hammering away of ticking clocks. The adversary is the prospect of removing failure's mask years down the road, only to stare directly into the eyes of regret. These outcomes constitute your greatest adversary. So for the sake of all that is meaningful, go push into the questions and the risk and the curiosity that makes life worth living. After all, it is not about failure. It's about time. We have so much to let go, to dismiss. Ideas, narratives, they're not ours, not in our best interest anyway, yet we carry them around. Carry them around like we're perpetually tied to the lies they espouse, the fiction they propagate. We have to let go. Before we add a single thing, before we adopt another way, it all has to go. I don't remember where I've seen it, but I know I have. Maybe cartoons when I was younger, but I'm imagining that character that is taking off their jacket or shirt, and there's always another one underneath it. Right? And they're like confused, frantically pulling off shirts and more to keep emerging. They had no idea how many layers they were carrying around with them. And funny enough, 20 years later, I'd be thinking that we are no different. There are so many layers, and so many of them should be gone, should be left, should be confined to the dustbin of history. Those boundaries in your life, who set them? Who said this is as far as you can go? Who put that little fence around your world and asked that you stay obediently confined to its borders? Who said that what you have is all there is? Who said upside is too dangerous? Who said life is about predictability and routine, so stop asking questions? No one. No one said those things. So hey, there's a start. Empty your pockets of the boundaries that are making life heavy. What about yesterday? Might as well take off that backpack, tip it upside down, and pour out the yesterday. You made mistakes yesterday. But that's not today. You didn't like certain aspects of who you were yesterday. But that's not today either. Your friends, maybe family, maybe others in your life knew you to be someone you don't think you are, or someone you wish you weren't. Well, more breaking news, that was yesterday. Did you even realize you're still carrying around who you were yesterday on your back? Your next step has a lot to do with now and very little to do with yesterday. So embrace and wave goodbye to those calendar pages you've already turned. That's the best move for everyone. Oh, and those concessions you make, you didn't think I'd forget those. You can't forget those. Unshackle them from your ankle. Those things you say, you're not ideal, but it's easier to live a lesser life with you in it than it is to go through the trouble of pushing you away. Perhaps the people that darken your light, the actions that you know are not you, the time exhausted living for someone else, gone, gone, and gone, it has to go. And look, we all know life is tricky. It's hard to walk away from things so ingrained into our daily lives for so long. But let's play a game. Let's pretend it was. Pretend life was that simple. Things I need to leave behind. A, B, and C. Well, that's definitely simple. Perhaps not easy, but simple. And now, through this simplified lens, you have a target to aim for. Something to chip away at. You have your block of marble. Now comes the process of chiseling a little bit at a time. And that's the goal. Because to not carry these things ends up meaning everything. Space no longer occupied by the wrong things creates space for the right things. Knocking down what doesn't belong creates a platform to build what does. So onward we must go, not falling into the trap of pointing at externality, blaming the world for our confinement, but instead understanding that we have been, perhaps without even realizing it, taking our confinement with us, in our pockets, on our back, trailing behind our every step, a subtle resistance. And when it goes, we can finally grow. We can become more. So what can you do now to live a life that's more meaningful, that's more true to yourself? Well, you can start by doing less of what weighs you down. I put on my shoes, stepped outside, and as I made my way down the street for my midday run, I felt the wind at my back, tailwind. My first thought, well, nice, this is convenient. Especially running along the beach where it can be pretty windy. It's definitely a luxury to have wind at your back. Sure enough, my mind went, oh, but that leaves me a headwind when I turn around and come back up the coast. My mind started to wander. I started imagining what it was going to be like turning around at that 6.6 mile mark. I was doing a half marathon that day and knew that, the way back would require I level up. And every once in a while, the thought popped into my head, sort of reminding me of the inevitable. And sure enough, the moment arrived. The sun pressing down onto my skin, the humidity wrapped around me like a blanket. I hit 6.6 miles, turned around on A1A, and there was that headwind. But the first thing I noticed was not the force pushing back against me. No, in that moment, I felt the breeze, the coolness. It was refreshing. And there, underneath it all, was my light bulb moment. What we are presented with day in and day out is a question. It's a choice. Would the wind become my adversary? Something that, pushed me forward on the way down, but then held me back on the way up? Or would it be what pushed me forward on the way down and then cooled me off as I made my way up? And if you think that mental alteration or perspective shift is just nuance or too small to matter, I suggest you give it a go when you're doing whatever your equivalent of total exertion is. Whatever your mental stressor is that pushes you beyond your state of usual comfort. When you're in the middle of, let's call it hurt, whether it be physical activity or a personal situation entirely unrelated to athletics, how are you internalizing the world around you? It's become clear to me over time that winning during our most trying moments comes down to mental shifts so small that they seem almost laughable in normal conditions. But your mind will always stop you before life will. So why not put yourself in a position to win? Everything around you is trying to help you in some capacity. Allow that to be the case. Remember that what you look for, you'll find. So if you look for resistance and obstacles and adversaries, they'll be everywhere. But if you look for and seek out value, you'll see that you are surrounded by nothing but value. Even those metaphorical headwinds become hands reaching out, working to cool you off as you make your way to greater things. So understand that when they arise, those headwinds, the ones that typically hold you back, they hide within them small wins. Small wins that will be the difference. The deeper one descends into chaos, the more important it is to find those victories. The ones hidden in plain view. The ones that look to many like problems. But you'll know. You'll know just how malleable this world around us is. The world seems to provide not definitives, but tools. So which will you pick up? What will you build with them? See, life is never happening to you. It's happening for you. So keep your eyes open, keep your feet moving, and remember that you will win, not despite the headwinds of life, but because of them. Because you've trained yourself when those around you see can't and won't, to find a way, to pull from the chaos the very thing you need most. Life gives you the canvas, but you are the one who must paint. I saw a quote that read, "People wait all week for Friday, all year for summer, and all their lives for happiness." In many respects, waiting is what humans do. We wait to start or wait to stop, wait to go or wait to leave. We wait and we wait and we wait. And in doing so, fool not time, but ourselves. That clock is going to tick away regardless of the IOUs we write to it. It will take those plans and dreams and ideas, and with its two hands carry them away as part of the perpetual rhythmic march. See, one of the most dangerous words in our vocabulary is tomorrow. A concept, illusion, a hesitance that becomes oxygen to the eventual flame of regret. It becomes the stories we tell about what could have been if only tomorrow arrived a little sooner. But the problem with waiting for tomorrow, as Jim Rohn has famously said, is that when it arrives, it's called today. Tomorrow is the boxing place for things we've not yet found the courage to start. But I want you to be that courageous. I want you to take the shot, to step out, to create momentum, knowing that your journey will be one of imperfection. But imperfect is how everything valuable begins. Perfect, on the other hand, you know what's perfect? Tomorrow is perfect. Ideas that never start, that contain no mistakes are perfect. Wishing is perfect. Hoping is perfect. But capturing the beauty contained in today, that's not a perfection game. That's a willingness to start and adjust along the way. It's a commitment to begin now. So let's disarm tomorrow. by making our imagining today. By pointing directly at all those things you've been worried or scared or intimidated by. Simply taking one step towards them. Rather than waiting for life to push you forward, walk yourself there. And let life react. Dear 2022, a few days remain before we officially part ways. Before you become another chapter in my story, and I become one of many characters to have passed through yours. I'm writing to you, as I've made an annual habit of doing, to both share my gratitude and say my goodbyes. To both celebrate and reflect. Because while we'll physically no longer share the same stage, your lessons will be deeply ingrained in an older, wiser me. And as the curtains are pulled back on the next stage and the play of life goes on, our time together will live in each passing moment. 2022 in totality, this year felt different. In fact, I've grown more with you than any other year of my life. I saw a lot of the usual, people coming and going, ideas emerging and receding. I saw what were once concrete plans require alteration and patience. At times, 2022, you pushed me further than I'd ever gone. You asked that I bend but not break, wander but not lose sight of the summit. You initiated through failure an increase in confidence that I'd never had prior to our knowing one another. 2022, you essentially became a new baseline, allowing me to turn last year's ceiling into this year's floor, which is wonderful. I think bigger, I understand more, expect greater things of myself. But also now understand that what was required to get to this point is no longer sufficient to arrive at the next level. And that's probably the most valuable gift you've given me. The reminder that we must be evolved. That the tactics required to reach the 5,000-foot summit are very different than those required to progress on to the 20,000-foot summit. And so as I continue my ascent, your voice will be echoing in my ear. The reminders that growth is uncomfortable because change is uncomfortable, but that discomfort is and always will be the cost of admission. Looking back 2022, I can see the value tucked away in my endeavors. You didn't necessarily make it obvious. You didn't highlight them. But you knew what you were doing. Losing some things in my life made room for others. Thank you for that space. Doors closing pushed me into new rooms with new people and new ideas. Thank you for those opportunities. Struggling to find answers forced my innovation. Thank you for that vision. You know, at the turn of every calendar year, I used to sit, reflect on the ride, and think, now next year. Next year is when the stars align, the big break happens, the world opens up. Next year. But 2022, if you showed me anything, you showed me that that line of thinking is somewhat inverted. Things won't happen next year because it's my turn to stumble across the winning lottery ticket. No, the things that arrive are directly proportional to the opportunity we create. Your successor, 2023, has nothing to grant or give to me. It merely provides the arena for me to perform. It's going to allow me to carry on, to progress, to take the magic of the last 365 days and make something beautiful with them. It's not so long as fate allows, it's so long as I don't get in my own way. 2022, we set the stage for the performance of a lifetime. You helped reassure me that my world within mattered, that I was hitched to the correct star, that so long as I don't stop, so long as I continue to believe, so long as I trust the man in the mirror, the external world can be manufactured like pieces of a puzzle. I am stronger, wiser, bolder. I've honed in on my vision, reduced the dead weight, specified that which means the most. I am not the same person I was standing before you on the day we met. And now, 2022, it's time to take all you've gifted me on to new horizons. Adjust my sails to the ever-changing winds of time. I'll use the carefully selected stars to navigate, fully understanding that you didn't show me the way, but you showed me I was and am always equipped to uncover the way. The metaphorical teaching of the man to fish so that he never goes hungry again. And so I leave our time together with a heart, a mind, and a soul fully nourished and ready for all that comes next. Goodbye, 2022, and thank you for everything, the good, the bad, the ups and the downs, while our dance inevitably couldn't last forever. Your melody will echo across. Standing at the edge of the pond, looking down at my reflection, I asked the man looking back at me if he was willing to make a deal. What time? He asked, seemingly intrigued. Well, I need you to be there. See, I have big plans and big aspirations, and sometimes things get really hard. Sometimes I feel lost and confused and overwhelmed, and I need you to be there. I need to know you'll always. I see, he said, eyes shifting up towards the sky as he thought through my request. This is doable, but I'll need something of you in return. Of course, I responded. Anything. Okay. Do I have your word that when you fall, that when you don't succeed, you'll get up until you do? Yes, you have my word. Do I have your word, he asked, that when you're lost, when the world shakes beneath you, you will continue on until you find steady ground? Yes, you have my word. Do I have your word that when you feel life's resistance like wind pressing against you with all its might, you'll keep pushing into it, not hoping it gets weaker, but knowing you'll get stronger? Yes, I said for a third time, you have my word. Then I'll be there. I'll be there every step of the way. I'll be your biggest fan. I'll have your back when you feel alone. I'll remind you how strong you are when you feel weak. I will point to the upside when you have a hard time seeing it. But you have to keep moving forward. That's your end of the bargain. I'll open those doors for you. I'll be your light in darkness, but listen to me. It will all be in vain if your feet are not continuously in motion. It will all be for naught if you don't, regardless of what life throws at you, commit to carrying on. So for the last time, look me in the eyes and promise me that you will not stop. Yes, you have my word, I told you. Then, my friend, we have a deal, and I will be there for you always. Pressure, as in those burdens we sometimes feel as we navigate life, it's complex. It's powerful. But like all powerful things, also delicate. That same pressure that creates diamonds, and create diamonds it does, well, it can also remind you that in the meantime, you are beneath the surface, buried away amidst that process of creation. In other words, pressure is a beautiful driver because it is, in many ways, a standard of excellence, of more. It pushes us towards a life of abundance like wind at our back. But see, two things can be true at once. And it's impossible to look at the word more without acknowledging that in order for more to exist, something must be lacking in the present. And there lies the challenge. Pressure gone too far becomes a feeling of inadequacy. The same driver to explore the depths